Hello there, this is Alan English, actor, writer and autism trainer with another autism tutorial. This one is on the subject of vaccine safety. Vaccine safety isn't a subject I normally discuss in the regular autism training that I do with support workers and employers. However, the current world situation where we're coming out of a pandemic and we've relied on vaccines to help get us out of it compels me to address this issue. Now, some of you watching this, at least some of you, will no doubt be familiar with the basic details of the whole vaccines cause autism controversy. Now, a British gastroenterologist, a gastroenterologist is someone who studies the stomach and intestines, British gastroenterologist called Andrew Wakefield published a paper in The Lancet, a UK medical journal, suggesting a connection between the MMR, measles, mumps and rubella vaccine and autism, the onset of autism in young children. This was back in 1998. The outrage that took place across the country as a result of this paper led to a drop in vaccination rates in this country, as well as doubt over the effectiveness and safety of vaccines which have been used to treat diseases in the UK and across the world for centuries. Wakefield was eventually caught out by the investigations of a freelance journalist called Brian Deer. Now, Deer exposed glaring flaws in Wakefield's paper and the way he collected and presented his data, and also failing to disclose a conflict of interest. The parents of the children who were subjects of his study were participants in a legal case where they were suing vaccine manufacturers. Wakefield's paper, as a result of Deer's investigations, was retracted by The Lancet, and Wakefield was stripped of his medical license. He moved to the United States, where he continues to preach and make money off his theories, even now. He has published books and articles, and even made 2 films, Vaxxed and Vaxxed 2, where he espouses his ideas. Now, I don't claim to be a scientist or a journalist, but I did make some study of both sides of this argument in preparation for this tutorial. Now, I've looked at a couple of books on this subject now, the first of which was Callous Disregard, written by Andrew Wakefield himself. This is where he explains his side of the controversy that helped bring him to public attention. Now, I found this book very difficult to read. I couldn't make sense of Wakefield's scientific, legal arguments against the accusations against him. Now, I've always been of the opinion that even if you are an expert in your field, you should be able, on some level, to make the subject of your expertise understandable, to an audience, to a casual audience. Wakefield does not do this, and this is why I found his book, really, really difficult, to understand and be persuaded by. Wakefield has written, a couple of books. There was this one, Callous Disregard, and another one, Waging War on the Autistic Child. And he's given countless interviews and speeches online. So if you are interested in exploring his side of this controversy, you are free to do so. The material is out there. Much more readable and persuasive, to my mind at least, was the book released by Brian Deer, the journalist who found out Andrew Wakefield. Deer's book is titled The Doctor Who Fooled the World. The book lays out in compelling detail Deer's pursuit of Andrew Wakefield, and the case it presents against this discredited man is both compelling and disturbing. Now, I've first encountered the whole vaccines cause autism, the topic back in 2010, 12 years ago now, when I invited Wakefield's close associate Polly Tommy to speak at a meeting of the London-based autism group, of which I was a member. Now, this was, in retrospect, a rather naive idea which I should have given more thought about. I had no idea at this time of her Wakefield connection or of the vaccines debate. I only knew she was an autism campaigner and had met with the then Prime Minister of the UK, Gordon Brown, to discuss autism. She also had her own magazine where she talked about autism. This was the Autism File, and in fact she brought copies of this magazine with her to the meeting. This was the full extent of my knowledge about Polly Tommey, when she came to meet us in London, and I managed to get to her through her magazine, through her organisation, and Polly accepted the invitation. She came along to speak to us. But when word got out that I had invited this lady to the meeting, I received an irate email from a friend of mine who informed me of her connections to Andrew Wakefield and the whole furore about vaccines causing autism. For all of this, though, when she did actually appear, the meeting was very civilised. No one challenged her. It was, however, her only appearance, and the group has never discussed the subject since. That was really it for me, though, for a while when it came to vaccines cause autism. Though I took better care to educate myself on the activities of both Polly Tommey and Andrew Wakefield. Years before writing his book, Brian Deere had made a TV documentary for Channel 4 about his Wakefield investigations. I watched this online and I was fascinated and thoroughly persuaded by Deere's arguments. And conversely, a few years ago I saw the first of Andrew Wakefield's films, Vaxxed, and I came away from that movie intrigued but not altogether persuaded. And it was in this particular state of mind that I attended a protest organised by some friends of mine outside the Tabernacle Theatre in London. Now, the theatre was screening Vaxxed 2, which was Wakefield's latest movie at the time. Now, looking back on it, the timing of this was chilling, as this was in January 2020, a couple of months before COVID kicked in and the whole world locked down. Now, since that time, it's been 2.5 years since lockdown, and we've been in and out of COVID lockdowns. Where we've had the vaccines. I've been vaccinated about 3 times. And my last time I got vaccinated was getting the booster in 2021 to deal with the Omicron variant, and I waited for 5 hours standing outside St Guy's Hospital in London Bridge waiting to get boosted. This is a subject I take seriously. I believe the science. And I think vaccines are the biggest weapon that we've got against this disease that has done so much damage to individual lives and world economies. But there are still people who are resistant to taking vaccines, and they're the ones spouting, beliefs and ideas like the ones, practiced and spoken of by Andrew Wakefield and his acolytes. There is information out there that can be found on the vaccines, and in this country you get the NHS websites, that give you the information on the vaccines, including, what is in the vaccines, how they were distributed, and their journey to approval. Now, if you're concerned about the vaccines, I strongly suggest you check out the NHS websites, and look and read over the information there to put your mind at ease. And for all the problems surrounding vaccines, I think by and large they are safe, and they certainly do not cause autism. Thank you.